Welcome to Petros Family Wealth. Today we're going to talk about Roth versus traditional and the never-ending battle between which one should win. Let's go ahead and dive in. Today we're going to talk about a specific example to show you Roth versus traditional. Today we have John and Jane, Gen X. They are 50 years old and have done a great job in saving. And we're trying to determine whether it makes sense to contribute to a Roth 401k or a traditional 401k and what the impact might be on their overall retirement plan. As far as the traditional versus Roth bucket debate out there, I know there's folks that are all about doing Roths and all about doing traditionals, more so on the Roth side of things. But our belief is generally it's good to have both, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Let me start off with a graphic here for us that talks through some of the just basic math that we might anticipate from a Roth versus traditional. Today, here's a graphic from Michael Kitces, who is one of the leaders in providing good quality advice. And if you're a financial advisor, I highly recommend you subscribe to their services. In this example, you'll see that basically it comes down to we should pay taxes when our tax rate is lowest. Kind of makes sense, right? And so we start off with a 25% tax rate, let's say we're assuming currently, and depending on how much we can contribute, because if we are getting taxed now by contributing to a Roth, we technically are able to contribute less. And so you can see if our tax rate is going to stay the same at 25% between now and retirement, there's literally no difference whether you do a traditional contribution or a Roth contribution. However, you can see also that if our tax rate is going to be lower in retirement, then we should get the tax deduction now and then pay the taxes when our tax rate's lower, and vice versa. So what I'm going to show you today is a practical example of a married couple that are age 50 trying to decide what's the right fit for them and what some of the impact and some of the techniques that we can use in their retirement to take advantage of the varying tax rates that they might incorporate or might see in their retirement. So right here we have John and Jane, Gen X, age 50, and their goal is to retire at age 65 and have $100,000 a year of net after-tax income. They would also like to have an additional budget of $20,000 a year for the first 10 years of their retirement in order for them to enjoy their retirement the best way they can while they're younger and healthier. As far as their net worth goes, they each have $250,000 in a traditional 401k each, as well as $50,000 in Roth IRAs, and they have an inherited traditional IRA of $100,000 that they recently received from their uncle, and $50,000 again in the taxable brokerage account. They each make $85,000 per year, and what we're going to assume is on the lower end, the Social Security. Generally, we like to assume a discount on Social Security given the uncertainty of the funding in the future. So we are assuming that they are going to be taking their Social Security early to mimic that discount for them, even though we may not necessarily recommend it at that time. They are contributing 10% of their incomes to their traditional 401ks, and their employer is matching about 3% total, so half of 6%. And they're also contributing $4,000 per year each into their Roth IRAs. Let's go ahead and see what the impact is on their plan. Here we have their financial plan, and they're sitting off pretty well for their overall retirement goals. Now, a couple things that you see that right here, there's a dip in that wealth, and that has to do with the inherited IRA. If you'd like some strategies to incorporate for an inherited IRA, go ahead and click this button over here, and we can show what John and Jane X could do to further mitigate those taxes of that inherited IRA. But for now, what we're going to take a look at is not only the lifetime value that we anticipate given different growth rates and their risk tolerances, but we also want to take a look at what their tax bracket is going to be. Given that previous graphic here, we can see that they are in the middle in between the 22 and 24% tax bracket while they're working. And then in retirement, for the initial couple years, they might have a gap where they pay less in taxes. And then later on, it looks like for the most part, their tax rate is actually going to be lower. So in this particular case, we have a probability of success of 67%. If we were to switch the contributions to be Roth 401k contributions, now as you can see, it does increase the wealth a little bit over time. And that's primarily because, at least under current law, Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs do not have a mandatory distribution amount. The net impact to the wealth is primarily in those later years of that growing wealth. Now, that doesn't necessarily help folks in the meantime, and you can see the real impact doesn't really start to take place until age 82. So that may or may not be worth it to the client at that time to have a little bit more in wealth, whereas they might prefer having a little more wealth and income during their healthier years. So let's take a look at their tax rates again here. So this is the different tax brackets. One of the tools we could use if they are in the higher tax bracket now, but they have certain gaps as far as the lower tax years in retirement before maybe Social Security kicks in or some of those mandatory distributions from traditional 401ks kick in. We could take a look at, well, what if we did some Roth conversions in those low tax years and potentially just fill up just a little bit in those different buckets. And just that small little tweak, we're not being too aggressive on our Roth 401ks, actually improves the probability of success by 2% just with that small tweak by keeping their contributions in a traditional 401k and then rolling those out or converting those out during those low tax years. Helps improve their possibility of retirement. So I hope you found that helpful in the Roth versus traditional battle out there. Really what it comes down to is just pay taxes when your income bracket is lowest. And you can tweak things along the way to, especially in retirement, where you can really control your tax situation to be either higher or lower and set yourself up for success in the later years. So take a look at what you expect for your tax rates now versus in the future. And then just know that there's going to be some wiggle room right after your retirement to help create an outcome that might be something better than just contributing to traditional and just contributing to Roth, doing something in the between. So hope you found that helpful. And if you'd like more information, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and click that notification button for more content. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.